Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing all of you how to set up a Darkflame Universe server. I was seeing on Twitter and on the Darkflame community Discord server that many people were having a really hard time getting this set up. I was able to get my server running yesterday, so I figured I should make a tutorial to help you guys out. I just want to leave a note saying that this tutorial is for Windows only, and you also need the unpacked LEGO Universe client, the most recent one, which is version 10.64.1. Due to legal reasons, I won't be showing you how to obtain the client, but you can find it pretty easily just by googling LEGO Universe client. So with that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is install a Linux environment on Windows. This is really simple. If we scroll down in the README file to the WSL section, it will tell us exactly how to do that. There is a native option, but as you can see right here, it says it's broken. I tried it on the day it released. I couldn't get it to work either, so WSL is the way to go. And what that does, it just basically installs a Linux system, kind of like a virtual machine. So it doesn't override Windows or anything like that. It's just purely contained within Windows. Doesn't interfere with any of your existing files, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. So to do that, you just need to type in this command into command prompt or PowerShell. So let's go ahead and open up PowerShell or command prompt, whatever you want. Make sure you do it run as administrator. So let's type in that command wsl install. The one thing they didn't put in the README file is you have to do this extra part -d and then the operating system that you want. We're going to do Ubuntu. Click that. It'll download and then install, and then when it's finished, it'll launch Ubuntu right here in a separate command window. So now it's actually installing the operating system on your computer. This might take a while, but I've done it before, so it's like faster this time around. It might take you a few minutes, so just be patient with that. When it's finished, it'll ask you to create an account, so you can create a username and then a password. So I'm just going to say my name is Weston, so do that, and then you can type in any password you want. It doesn't really matter. Alright, cool. So now we're in Ubuntu. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to log in as the root user, because otherwise I have to keep typing in sudo a bunch of times before all my commands. So to log in as the root user, which gives you like administrator privileges on the entire system, you just type in sudo su like that. It'll probably ask you for your password, so that way he knows it's you. Alright, cool. So now we're there. So now that we have all this stuff, once we have that set up, we need to follow the rest of these instructions here. First what we're going to do is the apt update and apt upgrade. This is basically like a system update, kind of like when you update Windows. Just make sure you have all the most recent packages installed in your system. So it's really simple, just type that in. Let that finish. And then when that's done, do apt upgrade. And just type yes to all the prompts. I'll pause the video and then I'll play it again once it's finished. Okay, so now that update is finished, we need to install these packages right here. These are important for compiling the or building the serve files that we're going to download in a minute. So it's really simple. Just copy and paste these into the console here. Install, and just make sure you keep typing yes to all the prompts. And then we'll do the next one. Snake. And then the last one, build essentials. Oh, whoops. Install. Okay, now we got those out of the way. Since we basically installed a Linux operating system, we have to go to the Linux instructions and continue the installation from there. Alright, so if you look right here, it says we also need the zlib library, which we have not installed yet. So we can, the command for that, they didn't list it for some reason, but this is the command for right here. So just type that in as well. If you don't install that, you'll get an error later on. Alright, that's good. Okay, so now we have all of these prerequisites installed. Now we have to download the actual server files from GitHub. So first you want to change, first clear this, but first you want to navigate to the folder where you want to install your server. So I'm going to go to the root folder, so just cd and then slash, that's just the main folder. And then if you scroll up to the beginning, you just copy this right here and you paste it inside of the console. And this will download the all the files that you need for the server into whatever directory you already have it. You're already within. Alright, now that that's finished downloading, if you type ls, which just lists all the directories and folders within your current directory, we should see Darkflame server right there. And those are the files we just installed. So the next thing we need to do, if you look at this section, choosing the right version for your client, depending on your client, you will which client version you have, you will need to edit a number inside of this file right here. So this file can be found inside of the Darkflame server folder. So if we do change directory to that, and then we do ls, we should be able to see it. So cmake variables, there it is right here. Alright, so we need to edit that file. So just type in nano cmake variables.txt. Alright, here we go. So if you see this property right here says net version, you need to change this depending on your client. So if you have the Darkflame Universe client, which I assume you would only have if you were previously like a beta tester for them or something, then you need to change this number to that. Otherwise, you can just leave it how it is right here. I do not have the Darkflame Universe client, so I have the unmodded one, and you probably do too. So we can just leave this number how it is. So to exit this text editor, just press Control X. You can see right there, so Control X, and then it'll exit out of that and bring you back to this command window. So now that we have that out of the way, we need to create a build directory inside of the Darkflame server directory. So to do this, type in the make directory command, and then name it build, and then press enter. And then we need to move into that directory. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's clear everything. And now we need to run cmake just to generate the files we need to create the build for the server. Alright, if you did everything correctly, you should get something similar to this. And now we need to run the make command. Now this will start compiling or building all of the server files. This can take some time. It could take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on your computer, how fast it is. To speed things up, if you have a CPU with a lot of cores on it, you can tell it to utilize those cores. So I have a Ryzen processor with 6 cores. So I can do -J6 to tell it to use all 6 of those cores. Alternatively, if you didn't want to use all that, you could do J4, J2, or if you just want to use just one core, just do make. Just know that the less cores you use, the longer it will take to do this. So I'm going to do -J6 and press enter, and then it'll start going. So you can see the progress of it right here. It'll take some time. If everything's working correctly, it should look similar to this. If you see any like red errors, then you know you did something wrong. But this stuff right here that showed up is okay. So just let it run. When it reaches 100%, then it'll be finished. We can move on. So I'll be back when it's finished. Alright, my build finished. If it's successful, it's usually something like this. If something went wrong, it will probably show you an error down here somewhere. And then if that happens, then just redo the whole tutorial and try again. So now that we've set up or we've built all our server, we need to scroll down and to the database section. So here we need to set up a database for the server. This database will hold information like it'll hold all the save files, it'll hold all your players' login information, that sort of thing. So to do this, we need to install, it says you can either use MySQL or MariaDB. You should use MariaDB because I tried MySQL and there's a bunch of errors with it and stuff. So uh, to install MariaDB, you need to do apt install MariaDB-server. Do yes. Now that that's installed, we need to start the MySQL service. So even though we installed MariaDB, it already has MySQL like installed with it, and so that's why we're calling it MySQL. So to start the service so that we can actually use it, we need to type service MySQL start. If it's successful, it should do something like that. Sometimes it'll show some type of warning. If that happens, it's okay. You can just ignore that. It's not going to hurt anything. So now that it's started, we need to type the command MySQL secure installation. And this will allow us to configure a password and a username for the root user, so that way it's like more secure that way. So do that. It's going to ask you to log in with your root password. So this is just the password you set up when you first configured Ubuntu. Press enter. So it's going to ask you, you already have a root password set, so you can, or setting the root password so nobody can log into that. So you can just press no because it's just using, it'll just by default, if you do no, it'll just use the password for your Ubuntu user. So just type no. Remove anonymous users, yes. We're going to do no, just so that way this will allow you to log in remotely from other computers and stuff. If you don't want that, you can do yes, but I'd like to be able to do that, so I have to say no. And then yeah, remove the test database. And then do yes to privilege tables. This will basically just make all these settings active immediately. We'll type yes. Okay, so now we're securely set up. So that configures the root user for the database. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to create the database. Right here it says we need to create one for the server to use. To do this, you just need to type MySQL and then -u for user, and then type root. And that will log you into MySQL as the root user with all the privileges you need to create this database. So do that. And if it works, you should see like a second terminal. It looks kind of like this. So to create the database that we want, you just type in all caps create database, and then type in the name of the database you want. It doesn't matter what the name is. It can be anything you want. Just make sure that you remember it. So I'm just going to say DLU, or I'll do that just to make it easier to read. And then when you're finished, you type a semicolon at the end. That tells the interpreter that that command is finishing right there. Press enter, and then if it works correctly, it should just say something like that. So now that next we want to create a user in MySQL that the server can use, because by default the server will not be able to use the root user that we are using right now. That's only for humans to use like us. If you try to do that, it will error. So we need to create a new user. So in all caps to create user, and then in quotes type in the name of the user. So I'm just going to say DLU server, and then do @ and then localhost, and then do space identified by, and then here you type in the password that user is going to use. So I'm just going to, for the password, I'm just going to say Darkflame because that's cool. And then type the semicolon at the end. Press enter, and then if that worked correctly, you should get that. And then we need to give this user administrator privileges so that way it has the ability to change things around in the database. So do that. You do in all caps, do grant all privileges on, and then you type in the name of the database. So if you look up here, the database name was DLU. So I do that, and then do a period and a star, and then space, and then 2, and then in quotes type in the name of the user you just created again. So right here, DLU server, and then at localhost, and then do the semicolon again. There we go. And so now our user has all the administrator privileges that it needs to do what it needs to do. And now we need to do flush privileges. That'll make them take effect immediately. Oh, whoops, I forgot the semicolon. There we go. Okay, so now to test this, we can exit, and then we can try to log into MySQL again with the new user we just created. So MySQL-u DLU server, and I have to do -p to indicate that we need to type that we want to type in our password. So ask for your password. Let's type it in. The password was Darkflame, and that works. Now we're in. So now we know that our user we created works. So now we can exit out of that. Okay. So now that we have created the database and created users for it, we need to actually configure it. So right here in the README file, it says it wants us to run these SQL files that here. So we can click on that, open a new tab. So it wants us to run this SQL file on the database we just created. And this is actually located in the Darkflame server files that we downloaded earlier. So what we can do, right now we're in the build folder or directory. We need to go up one directory. So do change directory and then 2 dots. Now we're in the main Darkflame server directory. So we need to log back in to the MySQL root user. So do that. And now we need to type the command use and then type in the name of the database you just created. And this will tell the MySQL command line that the changes we want to make changes to this specific database. So now type the word source and then space and then type the path to this SQL file right here. So we're in Darkflame server right now. So that means we would type in migrations/dlu/0 initial.sql and then press enter. And then you should see it say this a bunch of times. And then at the end, that'll be it. So that should work. So we configured that and press exit, and then now we're good. So now we can scroll down to resources, which is the next step. Okay, so on this next step, we're going to be creating a resources folder inside of the server files. And this just holds a bunch of information about the game world that the server needs to know about. So the first thing we need to do under this section of packing the client is we need to install these utilities or tools that they have at the repository for us. So if you scroll down under installation, they have this command we can run that will download this repository to our system and will also install any dependencies it has. If you see here, it uses the pip package manager, and so we need to make sure we install that. To install pip, you just need to do apt install python3-pip. Press enter and yes to all the prompts, and then it will start installing. Alright, there we go. Now let's get rid of all that stuff. And now you should be able to just copy this and then run it. There we go. Alright, so we've installed it. Now even though we installed this, the place where it installs these packages is kind of like the path to that in the file system is kind of long, and I don't want to have to keep typing that out all the time. So we're going to clone another copy of this into our Darkflame Universe folder so it's easier to navigate to. So the way we can do that is copy this link to the repository and then do git clone and then paste it. Alright, cool. So now if we do ls, we should be able to see it in here. There we go, utils right there. That's what. So now that we have this installed, we can go back to README file. This part right here, this is used to unpack the client. If you if you have an unpacked one, or if you have a packed client. I already downloaded a client that was already unpacked for me, so I never use this, and frankly, I'm not sure how to use this tool. So I'm going to be skipping over that because I don't need it for my situation. So next, we need to go to the res folder uh, in our build directory. So if we change directory to build/res and then ls, currently it's empty because it didn't show anything. And so what we need to do is we need, from our unpacked client, we need to take the macros folder, the brick models, that text file, names, and maps into this folder here. And so the way we do that is we have to go into the File Explorer. Since the file systems between Ubuntu and Windows are separated, it's like a special way you have to access them. So if you open the File Explorer and you go to the address bar up here, double click, you can type things into it. If you do double backslash WSL and then the $sign and then backslash and then Ubuntu, press enter, and then it'll bring you directly to the Ubuntu file system. So these are all the files installed under your Ubuntu operating system. And here's our Darkflame server folder right here. So we want to go into build and then res. This is where we're going to put those files. So I'll do like that. And now we need to navigate to our to where we have the Lego Universe Unpacked client. So I have right here, go into the res folder. And so here are the other ones. Alright, so now let's go back to this and see what we need. So it sees we need the macros, brick models, so let's copy those over. See, macros, brick models. So copy that and paste it into the Darkflame server res folder. So let that go, that could take some time. And then we need the chat plus English US text file. Do that one. Chat plus right there. And then we need names and the maps folder. Let's get that too. Names and maps. And then let that run. Alright, and then next we need to get the nav meshes and put them inside the maps folder. So it says we can get those nav meshes right here. So let's open that. And then it's just a zip file it seems, so just download that to your computer and save. And then let's open another file explorer with your downloads. And then I've already unzipped it earlier, so I can just copy these. So once you've unzipped it, just copy the nav meshes folder and then go to the res folder in your Darkflame server thing. Then go to maps and then you just paste it in there. Alright, close out of those. Alright, so we've completed this resource directory step. I have to go to setup locale. So if we go, so it wants us to copy the locale.xml file into the build/locale folder. So if we go to our Lego Universe Unpacked, if we go to the locale folder, you just take that XML file and copy it, and then put it in the same spot in the build locale folder. Just paste that there, and now we're good. For this next step, we're going to have to mess with another database again. So basically what we're doing is that, remember that utilities repository we downloaded earlier? We have to use this Python file that's inside of it to convert this FDB database into an SQLite database. So this database we're converting is currently inside of the unpacked client. So we need to go back to our folders It should be inside of the unpacked client in the res folder. It should be right here, CD client. So go ahead and copy that, and then we'll put it into the Darkflame server build folder. So go ahead and paste that there. And now we can go back to our terminal. So now we need to navigate to the this Python file. And since we're calling this Python file, we need to type in the Python3 command. That tells us that we want to run this file. So the path to that should be from the Darkflame server directory. You need to do utils and /fdb to sqlite.py. And now we need to type in the path to this CD client file. So that will be inside of the build folder. So build/cd client.fdb. Now we do space and then do 2 dashes sqlite path. And that will tell this file where to put the output path and what we want to name it. So we're going to put that inside of the build/res folder /cd server.sqlite and press enter. And then you should see an output like this, and just let it run for a minute, and it should finish pretty quick. There we go. So now we have converted that. So if we change directories into the build/res folder and do ls, we should be able to see it. There it is, cd server.sqlite. So now let's go back into the build directory, and then let's remove that cd client file. We don't need that anymore. So we can do rm for remove, cd client.fdb, and then now it's been deleted. And so next we have to make some changes to the database. So it wants us to run SQL files again on it. So if we go here, it'll give us a list of SQL files again. Alright, so here it shows us 3 different SQL files that it wants us to run on this database. This time, since this is an SQLite database instead of a MySQL database, the way we run these changes is going to be a little bit different. Since this is an SQLite database, we need to install a tool that will allow us to make changes to that type of file. So to do that, we need to do apt install SQLite, SQLite3. And press enter and let it do its thing. Should be quick. Alright, cool. So now we have that ready. We need to change, right now we're in the build folder, we need to change directory into the Darkflame server folder. And then we need to do SQLite3 space, and then type in the path to the database we're going to change. So that would be build/res/cd server.sqlite. And then we need to do that angle bracket. And then we need to type in the path to these files. So I have to do them in order from 0 to 2. So I have to do this one first. So move this over a bit, we can see the path. So we need to do migrations/cd server, and then type in the name of the file. So 0 nt footrace.sql. Press enter, and it should, if it works, it should just go to the next line. So now we just do the same thing again for the rest of the files. So to make it easy, if you press the up arrow on your keyboard, it'll autofill the previous commands you've typed in. So if we do that, it'll show the same thing. So we can just erase the file name and type in the next one. So we can do one fix overbuild mission.sql. Press enter. That one went good too. Do the same thing again. Delete the file name. We need to do 2 script component.sql. This one will take a little bit longer because this file is a lot bigger. So it'll hang for a few seconds and then it'll finish. So now we're good. We finished configuring that database. So now we can go back to here and see what's next. Alright, so we're almost finished. So now we need to go, there's these, in the main Darkflame directory, there will be these 4 configuration files we need to edit. Oops. So if we do ls, we can see them here. Let's see. Oh, whoops, I'm actually in the wrong folder. I need to change directory to the build directory. Alright, let's clear, and then ls in there. There you go. Here's the configuration file. Here's the configuration files. So we have auth config, chat config, master config, and world config. So we need to go into each of those, and we basically need to we just need to change the some settings around. So if we use nano, which is a text editor, and then just type in the one we want to use, we'll start with auth config.ini. And then here we need to type in the information for our MySQL database. This is the first database that we set up earlier in the tutorial. So the host, just type in localhost. And then MySQL database, you type in the name of your database. So mine was DLU, so type that in. And the username, you type in the name of the user that you created for your account. So for me, I did DLU server, and then the password, I did Darkflame. And then let's see, external IP. You want to set that to the IP address of your Ubuntu server. So actually, let's exit out of this real quick. If you do Control O, it will save your changes. And so do Control O and then press Enter. So then we can exit, and we need to get the IP address, the local IP address of our Ubuntu system. So to do that, you do hostname -i, and then it'll tell us it right here. So you can copy this. So highlight it and press Enter to copy. And then we need to go back and edit that file again. So right here where it says external IP, delete localhost, and then paste the address we just copied. And then dump folder, we're going to say crashlogs/auth. And then we will create this crash logs folder in a minute. So do Control O again to save, and then Control X to exit. And then we'll do the same thing again for the rest of the config files. So we can do chat config.ini, and then do the same thing. So MySQL host, localhost, and then DLU server, Darkflame, delete localhost, and then paste, and then do the dump folder. So we can do crash logs. We'll do /chat for this one because this is chat config. Whoops. Look at that. And then Control O to save, Control X to exit. And then nano master config.ini. Same thing again. Host DLU server, and then Darkflame. And then just go down a little bit farther here to do crash logs /master. And then we'll do the last one is world config.ini. And then just put in the host again, all that info. And this one does not have the external address property, so just do the dump folder /world. So Control O, Control X. Okay, so now we're going to create that crash logs folder that these things are configured to use. So to do that, just do make directory, and then we'll do crash logs. And then to create those folders inside of that one, we'll do make dir crash logs /auth, and then space, we'll do the next one, crash logs /chat, space, crash logs /master, crash logs /world. And then if we list the directory there, it should show all 4 of them there. So we got them made. Alright, so we have that set up. Let's scroll down and see what's next. Alright, cool. So now we should be ready to run the server for the first time, or at least set up our admin user. So under build, it says we need to run master server -a, and that's so we can set up our that's so that way we can set up our admin account. So to run this binary, we do ./master server and then do -a. Alright, so it should show something like this. If you get this warning, that's okay. So it wants us to enter a username for the admin account. So I'm going to do elicore space enter, and then type in the password you want for it. So I'm going to type in my password. Just enter. Alright, cool. So account created successfully, that's good. So that means we created our admin account. So next thing we need to do is we're going to create the account manager. So the account manager is a web interface or web application that they set up for us, and this will allow the players that you have playing on your server to create an account. So that way you don't have to go into the command line and do it manually in the database. This web interface will do it for you. So now we need to go to this link here and it'll tell us all the instructions on how to set that up. Alright, so let's go down here and see what we got to do. So the first thing it says is that we need to install requirements.txt. So these are like packages that you need to install that this system relies on to run. So if we go here and look at requirements, you see it's a text file of all these different packages we need to install. So you see there's 19 different packages, kind of a lot. So instead of making you guys type this all in, I went ahead and I made a bash file that you guys can run that will install this all for you. So I will link this a download to this file in the description for you. But so I have it right here. So if you take a look at it, it just installs all these things for you with all the different package managers you need. So what you need to do is you need to copy this file and then bring it into your Ubuntu environment here. And then we need to paste it somewhere. So we'll just put it here in the root folder. So now it's in there, we can go back in here. You can go to the root, and then to make it executable, you need to run this command called chmod u plus x, and then type in the name of this bash file. So we can do account manager prereq install.sh, and then it shouldn't say anything in output. It should just go to the next line. And so now to run this bash file, you can do /account manager prereq install.sh. Alright, so now it'll just go through and install all the requirements for you and check if you need anything. So this is a lot faster than just typing them all individually yourself because it's 19 different packages. So go ahead and just let that install. Alright, so it's finished installing. Now we can go back to main thing here. Oh, whoops, I accidentally exited out of it. Let me go back to that. Alright, so we finished installing the prerequisites. Now we need to download this repository. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're in the root folder. Let's clear everything. Go ahead and copy the link to this repository. And then do git clone and then just paste it and let it download. There we go. So if you do ls, you'll see account manager right there. Just cd into the account manager. And now we need to create this file credentials.py. So to do that, we do nano as the text editor, credentials.py, and then we can just copy this stuff and paste it in there. There we go. Okay, so what we need to do, this is a secret key. You can make that whatever you want. You can just literally, it just as a long range string, you can just spam characters on your keyboard. Just do random characters, doesn't really matter. I'll go back and change this for me later. But yeah, you can just make sure it's random. You can just do spam random characters. Next, we need to go down here. This is information about our MySQL database. So right here, where it says MySQL user, you would delete all that and type in the name of the user you created. So for me, that was DLU server. Now you go over here and type in the password for that user. So for me, that was Darkflame. And then MySQL host, that's just localhost. And then for the database, just type in the name of your database. So for me, that was DLU. And then Control O to save, and then Control X to exit. And let's go down here, we need to create resources.py. So here we can just copy that. And then do nano again, and then type resources.py. And then paste that. We don't need to change anything. So just do Control O to save, Control X to exit. Alright, now that should be it for configuring the account manager. So now we can go down here and we can run it. So if you do Python 3 and type app.py, should get something like this. Don't worry about this warning here. So right now this means that the account manager is running, and you should be able to access it by going to this address here. So you'll highlight that and press enter. Let's go here are the endpoints. So you can do login. If you're an admin user, you can create CD keys. And then if you're a player that wants to play on your server, they go to this /activate one. So if you create a new one here and then do /login, see right here, here's the server. So the username, you type in the admin username that you created when you created that first admin account. So you could do Elicor, and then you can type in the password you used, and then log in. And here you go. So now you can create CD keys that you can give to your players that want to use your server. And so if you were a player who wanted to sign up for your server, you go to /activate instead, and then you type in the key that the server owner gave you. You type in the username you want, and then you type in your password, and so you can create an account. So that's how the account manager works. So now that we have that running, we can go back in here, do Control-C to stop. You might have to press it a few times. There you go. Alright, so now we finished the account manager. We don't need to worry about that. Alright, so now we're ready to test out if we can connect to the thing or not. So now you need to, one last configuration is with your client itself. So we need to tell the client what server to connect to. So you can go to your unpacked client and go to boot.cfg, which is a config file. So you can edit that. No. Alright, so here where it says auth server IP, you need to change that from whatever it already is to the local, or to the IP address of the server. So to detect that, you do hostname -i, and you copy that IP address, and then you paste it there, and then save. Alright, so that should be good. So now to test this, we can run the server. So do first we have to go to the build folder for the server. So we can do Darkflame server /build. Let's clear everything, and then do /master server. And then you should see something like this. If it's running correctly, it should look similar to this. So ready zone 0, that means it's ready for us. So now we can go and run Lego Universe. So here you will sign in with the username and password that you created for your admin account. So you can do Elicor, and then my password, and press sign in. Sweet, and it works. And so the expected output, if you see. Alright, so I'm going to exit out of this real quick. And so expected output you should see from the server should look similar to this. So scroll a bit. So this is where we were before I joined. Once I joined, it got this information. So if you see something like this, that means you're working right. And then this here was when I left the game, deleted user 1. So it looks like the server is working. So one last thing we got to do with the client is there is a bug where one of the very first quests that you do, it will freeze and you won't load into it. So to do that, it's a very simple fix. You have to go in the client and change this one line of code. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So you go into your Lego Universe client, and then you navigate to this path right here. So you go to res, scripts, AI, minigame, survival, LZone, survival client. So first we have to go to properties. By default, I think this is read-only. Yeah, but I already fixed this because I did this before, but by default this will be checked, so you need to uncheck this, so that way you can make changes to this file. So do apply, and then edit this with some text editor. You have to go down to line 617, so way down at the bottom. There we go. So I already fixed this in my client because I did this yesterday, but normally this will show, the file will look like this right here. It'll say player ready. You need to change that to on player ready. So just change that to on, and then do Control S to save, and then X, and then that will fix the bug with this survival minigame. And then here, let's run the client again and just load into the game so we know it works right. Alright, let's choose a cool character for myself, huh? That looks good enough. Alright, I'll just go in with this, and we'll play. Awesome, we get the cool cutscene. And then here we are, we in the game. Pretty awesome. Alright, cool. Looks like it works. So I'm going to quit that. Alright, so now that we have that working, there's one last step we need to do. Currently, because the server is running on like an operating system that's separated from your Windows system, the IP addresses are different. So the IP address that your Ubuntu system has is different than the IP address that your Windows system has right here. And so because of that, other people on your home network will not be able to join the server with you, or people on any network won't be able to join the server with you. So we have to basically port forward the ports that the system uses. So first, let's get out of all this. Alright, so once you're out of that, just press Control C to exit that stuff. It takes a little bit, couple of minutes. But so the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure we have net tools installed on our system. So do apt install net tools. It's probably already installed, but if it's not, we can install it like we just did. So once that's in, now we need to go onto your Windows system. So I saved the file here. I found this this article online that tells you how to do this. So basically, you just copy all this code right here into a .ps1 file, and then you change this this ports list to include all of the ports that the LEGO Universe server uses. And so I have that set up already right here. I will put a download link to this file in the description. So these are all the ports that the LEGO Universe server uses. So what you need to do is that once you have that file made, you need to open PowerShell as administrator. And then, let's see, you need to go to that path first. So server info, this is where I have my file. And then before you run this script, most of your computers will probably have running scripts disabled in your computer just for like safety reasons. So to let your system run scripts, you have to run this command. The command is set execution policy remote signed. So this will allow us to run the script. If we try to run the script right now, the system would error and it would tell us Windows does not allow you to run scripts or something like that. So it's usually for security reasons. So obviously hackers can't put stuff on your computer and then run it. So you can just enable it for now. There we go. So it'll ask you this. You just say yes, and then now it's enabled. So now you can run that script. So you can do // I named it network.ps1. PS1. And then it'll show a bunch of OKs. And that's basically just forwarding all of the ports. So once you do that, it's finished. If you want to disable scripts again, so your computer isn't vulnerable to that kind of thing, you can just run this command, set execution policy restricted, and that will disable running more scripts on your system. So let's see. My impose GPS. Yes, I want to change the policy, and then now you're good. So that's the last step. This will allow other people on your network to access the server, the LEGO Universe server. Just a note that everyone who wants to play on your server, they also have to edit the boot.config file to include the IP address of your server. That's how their client will know to connect to it. Yeah, so that's everything. The server is working. I can join it, I can play it, and so can your friends. So I hope this was helpful to all of you guys. If there's any questions you have, or you found another tutorial that's better than this one, then ask the questions, link me those tutorials, and I'll put them in the description. So thanks you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.